Well, we have a well-liked, super popular, well-known blade here in the Blade Boot Camp. Welcome everyone to another episode of Gideon's Tactical. I have the Fallkniven F1 survival knife here in the Blade Boot Camp for full field testing and review today. And we're really going to get out here today and really look through all the ins and outs of this knife. I am not the first person that has reviewed this blade. This has been around for a while, and like I said, very popular. So there's a lot of videos on YouTube that really sings this knife's praises. And I'm going to kind of tell you from the get-go, and I'm going to walk you through it like I always do with my full system, ergonomic ratings, sheath ratings, value ratings, all those things. At first, when I first got this, I was pretty excited, but as I began to use this knife, I'm going to tell you from the get-go, I'm a little underwhelmed by this knife. It really doesn't live up to the hype in my mind that everyone seems to be putting around the F1. And today I'm going to show you why. We're going to walk through it, and throughout this video, hopefully you'll be able to decide whether or not this is worth the hype and what everyone says about it, or if there may be some other options out there on the market that are a little bit better for you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start the full field testing and review on the Fallkniven F1. All right, let me give you some specs here on the F1. What we're looking at is a VG10 steel blade, very nice, made in Japan. We're looking at a convex grind that we'll talk about here in a little bit. It's going to be 3/16 of an inch thick, so very stout and robust. You're looking at 3.9 inches of actual blade length, and then you're looking at an overall length of just over 8 1/4, probably 8.3 inches overall length, full tang construction all the way out the back. You can see the tang sticking out the back there. And then you're looking at a kind of polypropylene style handle, very similar to Kraton right here. And then it weighs in at 5.5 ounces, just the blade, and then 7.5 ounces with the polymer plastic sheath that they offer. So those are just a few of the basic specs that we're looking at here on the F1. We'll make a little spear here. Just push cut that. You want to try and make all spears with the tip with one solid piece. You don't want to make it kind of cutting all the different pieces. You just want to kind of get it so that there's still a little bit of the original, so all the strength will be through the entire piece of the spear, particularly when you're stabbing. So we're kind of making like a little fish spear here. Trying to make sure to keep that good 90-degree spine on there so I can do those type of things. And again, keeping one solid piece so it's going at kind of an angle, not so much a cone-shaped spear. There we go. Ta-da! Ready to go. All right, so for this shot, I want to do two birds with one stone. First off, just really hit the quality real fast. It's a great quality. There's nothing that I'm seeing here that would say this is a low quality or they missed something on the quality control with this knife. The VG10 steel, the blade, and how they've ground it in, and just the quality that you're seeing there is definitely a 5 out of 5 on the quality rating here on this knife. And also just wanted to hit the blade performance. And as you're seeing throughout all the action shots, and we'll be talking more throughout this whole video, it really comes down to a fantastic blade performance. From the handle to the tip, that part of this knife is fantastic, guys. Phenomenal. It's the convex grind. Now, I've been really nervous about convex grinds. This was my very first one that I've ever purchased because I've heard that it's kind of difficult to resharpen, but with a leather strop and some ceramic rods, this knife I bought secondhand off of Amazon, and it had a couple little burrs and chips in it, and within about 10 minutes I was able to get that out and back to shaving sharpness. So whoever the original owner was didn't really take very good care of it, but as you can see here, it looks flawless. And I was very easily able to get that convex grind back on it, and as you're seeing throughout all the footage throughout this video, it batons, it slices, it does everything that you would want it to do, carves, whittles, better than any other type of grind really that I've used. Scandi grinds are close for wood processing in particular, but this convex is even better. The nylon rope cutting as well as seatbelt cutting that we're going to be doing throughout this video is just phenomenal. The 90-degree spine for throwing sparks as well as scraping wood, making fat wood. I mean, all those things. The blade portion of this knife, guys, is really mind-blowing, and this will not be my last convex grind. This is only going to get me more interested in convex grind blades because of the performance that I'm seeing with that type of edge. Okay, let's talk handle. And this is where the rubber really meets the road and I start to not like this knife and I become underwhelmed. Again, blade, awesome. Handle, let me show you. What you have is that kind of polypropylene. I can't remember the exact term off the top of my head. I'm losing it, but you know, very similar to Kraton. Very tough, durable stuff. Very good. I really like it a lot. You know, warm to the touch. All really well contoured, so there's no hot spots in that sense. They're giving you traction along the sides, but none along the top or bottom. I would have liked to see just a little bit of checkering. Just to see this checkering go all the way around the handle. That would have just helped. It doesn't hurt anything, but it just would have helped with the traction slightly. So I wear large size gloves. That's the size of my hands here, and that's where the problem first starts to show up. Is as I began to use this knife more and more, the first thing was this guard. It's too short and too stubby, and the way the handle's designed, my finger almost wants to roll up it as I do my harder cutting tasks, and it starts to get in the way, and I constantly have to kind of reset my hand. So that was something right away. I just wish that this guard had come down a little bit further to really keep my finger locked in and not wanting to kind of scoot up over it. So that was problem number one. The second thing is the shortness of the handle. The handle is rather short, and that doesn't help because they've brought the lanyard hole in. And I'm a big lanyard guy. I always prefer lanyards on my knives, regardless of the size, because you know, if you had to, I can stick my finger through this thing, my pinky, and do a little bit of light chopping and, you know, clear some light branches if I have to. I don't have to go back to some other, you know, hatchet or knife that I might have. I can do light limb clearing with almost any knife as long as it has, you know, a lanyard. But they brought this lanyard hole back into the handle way too far, in my opinion. It should have been out here, because when I'm got the lanyard, you can see that it's in my hand. So it's just an annoyance that's constantly back there on my hand, letting me know that that lanyard's there, and I don't like that. If they had just scooted it out just a little bit further, maybe a quarter of an inch, it would have been fine. But where it's seated, I don't like that. So I basically either have to deal with it, and it's constantly in my mind irritating me, or take it off, in which case there's no problem, but then I have no lanyard. And that can be, it's just something to note. It can be bothersome. It's not like a make or break deal. It's just annoying that it doesn't have that. And the final thing is how narrow the handle is. It's a very thin handle. And so for my large size hands, it starts to disappear in my hand and start to cramp my hand because it's so small and takes up such a small amount of space that it doesn't fill out my hand like I would like. Now, if you have smaller, medium sized hands, it'll probably feel a little bit better in your hands and won't be that big an issue. For me, I did start to notice it, that it just wasn't as full and give me as much lockup on the handle as I would have liked. So with all that being said, guys, there's just, all those little things add up, and when we're talking about this knife, it just isn't as mind-blowing as originally thought. And from what I heard from all the hype from a lot of other people on YouTube, that they just love this knife, the handle really kind of begins to kill it for me the more I use it, to be from being an awesome blade, again, the knife being an awesome performer, to not really enjoying holding it for more than about 5-10 minutes before I want to use something else. So guys, I'm going to give it an ergonomic rating of 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. No hot spots, but there's just little things here and there that all add up. Like if it was just the guard, but everything else was fine. Or if it was just the lanyard hole, but it had a thicker handle and a bigger guard, then that would be fine. But all these little nuances add up to not be great. It's okay, but it's not great. So 3 out of 5 on the ergonomic rating. All right, let me walk you through the sheath options here on this particular model. Now, this is the plastic or molded plastic sheath option that they offer. There is a leather sheath option for, I think, about $15 more for the whole package. And I would highly recommend going for that one, because this is a horribly pathetic sheath, and I'm giving this sheath rating a 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5 on the sheath rating. It's just really, really bad. Let me show you why. You got this polymer plastic that's very noisy. Hopefully you can hear that. It rattles all over the place. You have this little thumb ramp right here that if you unsnap and push off, it barely gives you any retention. This is the retention point right here, and you can see it move. And it just holds onto that little guard right there. That's the only real sense of friction. Then you gotta have this snap, and it's kind of awkward. It would be very difficult for you to do it one-handed if it was on your belt, and it covers up the lanyard hole. So if you have a lanyard, you have to fight with it even more. You got this little nylon strap here that's durable, but you know, just very low quality. You do have a drainage hole. You got 2 little lashings that you could do paracord through, lash it to, you know, like a pack or something like that. But this is just a very, very poor offering, and particularly for the price point. The leather option I think would be a lot better. It has a loop over button design, but ultimately Kydex is the way to go. And so for myself, I got a gear to fit Kydex sheath, just very basic, clicks into place, a much better option. This sheath was 30 bucks, and then I got a Blade Tech lock, which is an extra 15. So very reasonable. Check them out. I got a link in the description below to Gear to Fit. They do not only Kydex sheaths, but also Kydex holsters and mag holsters. So just something to note there. But basically what I'm trying to get at is either you got to go with the leather sheath, or be prepared to upgrade to either your own form of custom leather or custom Kydex if you are going to be buying the F1, because that original plastic, molded plastic sheath that they give you is trash. 2 out of 5. All right, so how about value? What's the value of this knife, and giving you the rating on the value of the blade. Now, at right around $115, that's not a bad price at all for the materials. VG10, Japanese made, you know, the materials they're using on the handle, all the different things that go into this, it's not a bad value at all for the blade and what they're asking. The design is kind of hurting the value, because there are just other knives that are similarly designed that are either the same price or even a less, that I think are just better designed. So I'm having a hard time giving you a good value rating on this, because with this model, you do have to upgrade the sheath. You're gonna have to do it, but you can buy the leather one for, I think, $125 if I remember correctly, which isn't bad as long as that leather one, you know, holds up well. And from everything I've heard and seen, it's definitely a better option. So I don't know, after kind of thinking it over, guys, this version I would give a value rating of 3 out of 5. The version with the leather sheath, I'll give a 4 out of 5. So not bad, depending on what you're purchasing and depending on whether or not you're totally sold on the Fallkniven design in the F1 setup. The value isn't bad. This one, not the best. The leather model, a little bit better at 125 versus the 115. So hopefully that kind of helps you out a little bit when you're weighing your, you know, your hard-earned money. Is the Fallkniven F1 worth it? The value isn't bad depending on the sheath options that you purchase. All right, guys, as we get close to wrapping up this review, I want to roll in a competitive option, a very competitive option to the F1, is the Master Hunter from Cold Steel. Now, the Master Hunter design's been around almost as long as the F1 design. This is the new for 2015 version in CPM 3V steel. That's a US-made steel. Then they ship it over to Taiwan to have the Kraton handle put on it. But just to show you some comparison here, the first thing is price point. We're looking at about $95 for the Master Hunter. We're looking at about $115 for the Fallkniven. We are looking at a 4.5-inch blade. We're looking at that 4-inch blade, basically. And the things that I noticed right away, because I bought the F1 first, then about 3 weeks later I bought the Master Hunter, so I've had a really good chance to play with them both on the same level in the same amount of time, is that the Master Hunter just has a way better handle. It's much thicker than on the F1. You can see there, it's longer by about 1/4 of an inch. The guard is much more protruding in a good way, really locks you into place well, whereas we talked about the Fallkniven just doesn't quite have that there. It almost wants to fall off. The lanyard hole is spaced out further back than on the F1, so you're not having to deal with fighting that lanyard hole all the time. And there's just a lot going for it. The sheath on the Cold Steel is the SecureX sheath, which is a great production sheath. It's going to take a long time for this to wear out, and you have to spend money to upgrade. Whereas, as we talked about with the F1, the sheath that it comes with is really pathetic, and I hate it, honestly. And we're talking about a $20 price point for a terrible sheath, and then you got to upgrade, buy leather at Kydex, you know, and that's going to cost you more money. So there's just a lot of things that the F1 continues to fall short in. which really makes me sad. And the F1, and the Master Hunter can outperform it. The only area where there's a positive with the F1 really in comparison is the convex grind versus the full flat grind. Now the full flat grind is fantastic and will do amazing work for you in every task, but with woods tasks, bushcraft, feather stick making, notches, you will notice that the convex grind is slightly better. The convex grind parts the wood a little bit faster, a little bit easier. You're less likely to slide off your material. You can bite in a little bit deeper. Now again, the Master Hunter is really, really good, but you can tell that the F1 is even better. And this all comes back to it again, that the blade is awesome on this F1, but the sheath, the handle design, and everything else about it sucks. It's just if they had redone the sheath and redone a completely different handle, if you had this cold steel handle on this F1, it'd be awesome. But as is, really falls short in comparison to not only the Master Hunter, but other knives of similar size and dimensions that the F1 is competing with out there in the market. So it's kind of sad to see that the F1 just doesn't have quite the features and design capabilities that the Master Hunter or other blades out there do have.
The Gideon's tactical. Review. Okay. Yeah, it's that convex edge. Really helps.
All right, so we got to bring it to a close with the F1 and give you my final likability, my final thoughts on this knife. Again, like I said in the intro, after really using it and beginning to feel it and beginning to think about the price point I dropped on it, the other options, particularly that cold steel Master Hunter that's out there, that is very similar to this, I would say that I'm, again, underwhelmed, and I would give this a likability rating of 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. I'm just not impressed, guys. This part of the knife, the blade itself, fantastic, awesome. I love the convex grind. I love the 90-degree spine, the size of it, the thickness that they chose, and just the VG10 is fantastic, holding a great edge. All those things are awesome. But when you talk about price point, the sheath options, the poor handle design and lanyard design, I think, just leaves things to be desired with this knife. So I'm keeping that cold steel one, and you're going to see a review very soon for that cold steel Master Hunter. This one's going to go back on the market. I have to get rid of this. So I'm actually going to be reviewing, I'm going to sell this to get the money so I can review the S1 from Fallkniven, which is their forest knife, the S1. I think that's going to be a little bit better. It's about an inch longer. I think they did the handle a little bit better. So we're definitely going to be checking that out. I think that might be a better option if you are really wanting a Fallkniven design. I think the S1 might be right up your alley. Again, stay tuned, probably another 2 to 3 months after I've sold this, got the other one and done a review, and I've had time to field test it. We'll probably do a review on that, and I assume that I'm going to like that one a lot more than this one. So guys, again, 3 out of 5 on the likability scale. Again, there's just other knives out there that I would rather purchase for around 115, 120 bucks that will either do the exact same task or have other features that will just be better and will save me money in the long run. So I hope that this review on the F1 has helped you out with your purchasing decisions. As always, check us out on all the relevant social media. Please subscribe, comment, like, share this video, and as always, remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. We'll see you out there.